But let me start this morning by thanking Professor Ajibola for having me do the review of this book, the first of the two books, I would say, and also in the process have my signature, so to say, somewhat on this output of true academic pursuit, and I choose my words very carefully, that also finds relevance in banking practice. Academic, because of the obvious addition to the stock of knowledge on bank lending, which of course is a critical aspect of banking business. Practical relevance by way of numerous concepts simplified and also experiences shared to guide practicing bankers into what I call right decisions and judgment. Because this really is the key issue when it comes to the banking business. Now, equally, I would say the content of this book epitomizes one of the commonsensical principles of lending, as we call it. And that is the saying that goes this way, that you don't need to be a genius to lend successfully. If you have all the facts, and then you review them, keep to the rules, and avoid greed, you are likely to succeed in bank lending. Now, this 199-page book on lending in Nigeria is a complete package, and you will see that shortly. I will make my review very brief, because I understand the commitment the chairman has elsewhere. Now, this package runs from the basics of lending to the mechanics of it, and of course, the why and how banks succeed or fail in lending, live cases, and of course, the pitfalls to avoid. It is a 7-part book that is excellently summarized in the preface. In fact, I must confess openly here, I was tempted to just print out the preface and come to read it to this audience. But it's so concise and indeed an excellent summary of the book. But then, if I came here and did that, that wouldn't give justice to the time and space that this event has given me as a book reviewer. So you will therefore permit me to go through the 7 parts very quickly. Of course, I have very short paragraphs on each of them. Now, part 1 is a 40-page section that deals with the conceptual issues that range from definitions to principles, their interpretation, and of course what I call peculiar practices in Nigeria. It in fact notes in a simple manner, and that is what I appreciate so much about the book. Very simple, and it makes it clear that credit is the belief that a borrower can and will pay back a debt. But this belief is by others, which means it talks to the stakeholders within that particular context. The book goes on also to make it clear that there are many C's of credit, as we call them in banking. But the author focused on several of them, which I also found very interesting and indeed complete. He talked about capital, talks about capacity, character, collateral, consideration, connection, and condition. Most failed loans, as stated in the book, can be traced to one or a combination of these, either because they were ignored or they were indeed underrated. So the author then lists the do's and don'ts of lending, noting that short-circuiting the internal guidelines is one of the greatest sins in the credit approval process. That's on page 24 of the book. Now the second part, also quite interesting. That puts business of borrowing in what I call its proper context, distinguishing between the purpose of borrowing and what we call the cause of the need to borrow. Again, in my estimation, this is an area where most lenders get it wrong. But the author has made it very clear and succinct here. Now, the purpose, of course, falls within the context of the 4 elements of what we call the loan request. The author also explained this in very simple terms and very clear. The lender needs to understand the timing difference between cash inflows and outflows, which may be triggered by several factors, which you also mentioned in the book, including sales growth, then of course, slowdown in operating cycle, slowdown in collection of trade debts, replacement of fixed assets, among others. Then part 3 of the book gives a detailed explanation of the nature, the structure, the characteristics, and mechanics of specialized credit products, with practical steps that a credit grantor should take to preempt mistakes. For that is what I see all through the book. What you can readily follow in order to more or less protect yourself from the mistakes careless lenders always make. Knowledge of these prepare the credit officer and manager for the dynamics and challenges of today's lending environment in Nigeria. And part of this, of course, is what the second book talks to, looking at the economic environment. In part 4 of the book, the author lays out the issue of credit risk. And of course, we have from the citation how not only is he acknowledged, but recognized as well as an expert with respect to credit risk management. He situated credit risk within the big picture of enterprise risk management, with particular attention to the factors and issues that may make a borrower unable and or unwilling to pay back a loan. These factors are listed out in the book with some explanation, and of course the importance of credit culture and the approval process as well as credit rating are also noted. In part 5 of the book, the author underscores the importance of committees in credit decision making, stating upfront that leaving approval decisions in the hands of individuals is not in the best interest of any credit grantor as an institution. That it is better, in spite of having authority limits, authorization limits for credit managers, and of course, even senior executive management, that in spite of that, it is still better from experience to leave such decisions in the hands of committees. And in fact, it mentioned in the book also 3 types of committees involved in this. There is the credit committee, of course, that approves. There is also the credit review committee that considers the review of either individual applications or the loan portfolio itself of the institution. And then there is the credit review and the criticized asset committee, which of course manages 2 things essentially: loan workout and of course loan recovery. Concluding that part that an effective and efficient operation of these 3 committees will go a long way in ensuring sound risk asset portfolio in our banks. In part 6 of the book, and this is the one I find most interesting, and I will tell you why it's so. The author started with the Bankers' Creed of 1863. He laid it out at first, but the beauty of it was that he now broke it down into 10 different components, which means, looking at the creed, the author was able to tease out 10 key components of that relating to lending business. Now, in each of those 10 components, the author brought out cases and references that not only explain the creed, but equally point out what lessons that we can draw in order to make what I would call successful lending. And of course, he also did a diagnostics of the Nigerian banking market vis-a-vis the Bankers' Creed. And the conclusion was that we rated very poorly. In fact, if you also follow exactly what he did there, and when you do an independent review, we in fact agree with the author, coming to the same conclusion. So indeed then, it is real food for thought for every professional banker, and of course, every well-meaning Nigerian. For me, it was a sobering, outlook. The final part of the book, part 7, lists out the 7 C's of credit as mentioned earlier. But there was something beautiful here that Professor Ajibola did, and I found it exciting. And what he did was to give so many live cases. And my take on this is that you can't go through these live cases either from his own personal experience or what other people share with him within the 7 pillars without something you will take away from it. And again, it's also so revealing about our credit culture and the way we have not truly managed well that aspect of banking business. Now, the final part of my review, my comment, just 5 of them. Number 1, the book is well structured, and the mind assessment well sequenced and well arranged. It packs so much practical knowledge and practice of lending into such a small, compact volume. In fact, in my discussion of it with my wife, I mentioned to her that when I began to read the book, it appeared to me that I was also going through my normal training manual for credit in banking. So it is so interesting and well, reader-friendly, let me see. Secondly, I see it as an excellent teaching material for lecturers in banking and finance, as well as good reference material for students and trainers in the banking system. Now, my side remark on that in my office is, I told them that, and I'm sure this will lay the background for, let me say, subscription to the book. I told them that if our firm goes to train bankers in lending anywhere, from this very moment going forward, we'll ensure every participant gets a copy of the book. And why do I say that? Being a trainer in the banking system for 24 good years now, I recognize the fact that it will make my life easier. So I want to say thank you, Prof, for this book. I also will say that it's especially useful for bank employees who, though not being professional bankers, they work within the banking system and therefore hold lending decision responsibilities. The live cases are an excellent guide for such bank employees who are not professional bankers. The 4th comment I have on this is that it provides useful lessons for top management staff that often take things for granted and assume that they know it all. I mean, having been in this system, we've seen a lot of instances where someone once remarked, and we find it in the book also, that we don't know what happened to our chief executive. Everything he taught us about credit decision making, he broke all the rules himself. And of course, the bank in question is part of history, now a legacy of our own. There's need, however, for some little editorial work to be done, and the book will easily become a classic in Nigerian banking. And that is what I see there. So in closing this, I recommend this book very strongly to every constituency of banking, comprising different competency levels in commercial, merchant, and investment banks, and even microfinance banks. The entire banking system, the regulators and consultants, as well as policy makers, the academia, and there I make reference to lecturers and students alike, and of course, trainers like me, whom we have branded as teachers in the marketplace, which means it is good for teachers in the ivory tower, and it is good for teachers in the marketplace. Equally, I will say for finance and corporate executives, having things to do with borrowing from financial institutions, then the banking and general public. If this book and its content are taken seriously, it has the potential to change our credit culture in Nigeria and set us on the path to the evidence-based observation that credit plays an important role in economic growth and can also be a veritable tool in financial inclusion. I thank Professor Ajibola for this gift, I call it a gift, to Nigerian banking, and also thank this audience for listening to me. God bless you.